And we are live. What's up, beasties? It's me, it's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. Welcome back to another episode of Beast Friends Forever. Woo! And we have a fantastic guest tonight, an awesome indie author who not only is putting out amazing books with amazing covers, as you can see up here, but he's so supportive of so many people in the indie community as well, and of content creators like me. He's just an awesome dude. He's fantastic. And I'm talking about Bryan Wilson. What's up, man?
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. We've been chatting for a long time, so this is a long time coming. So I'm excited to finally have you on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate being here. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let me shout out Mr. Tim McKay is here already. What's up, Tim? Thanks for being here, my friend. Appreciate it. I guess there's like a huge like group chat of booktubers and other people talking about what's Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, I guess. And it's like at the exact same time as ours. And some of the people that come to my things are in it. So I'm like, oh man. But that's all right. You're gonna have a lot of other people, which is good.
Yeah,
which is good
for sure.
But I'm like, dang it, I should have paid attention to that. And we could have altered our time a little bit, but that's all right. That's why we have replay, right?
Exactly. We're all good.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Yes, and I agree. Bryan is one of the goats in these here parts.
Appreciate that.
Just in case there's anyone who does not know the sports-ish reference, GOAT means greatest of all time. We're not actually calling him a goat, just in case.
the animal version might be more realistic here, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Oh man, I don't know. I grew up. My grandparents had a bunch of goats. They're nasty things, so you would definitely not be compared to a goat.
My grandpa had a farm, so he had.
Oh yeah, you know too.
Yep.
We had a They lived down. They retired and got a house in Kentucky, and they had all this land, like woods and everything. Mm-hmm. So the goats would all just kind of hang out in there. They had a fence that kept them from going too deep into the woods. But there was this one goat that was like the king of them all. He was huge, and my grandparents had named him Bill, but like me and my siblings called him Stinky Bill because he would just pee all over himself all the time, and he'd have this strong wind blowing up through the woods, and it'd just be like, oh gosh, man, you rot, go back down there, I don't want to smell you. Anyway, let's move on past that. But oh, Angel's in here. What's up, Angel? Thanks for popping in, man. We appreciate it. All right. Oh yeah, here we go though. Mountain goat. Yes. Mountain goat. Those are sweet. Yes. It's crazy how they can climb those mountains with no hands and fingers. It's pretty impressive. All right, but we are here to talk about you and your books, especially a book that you have that's coming out very soon that I can see behind you there. It's beautiful. Let's see it. Oh, look at that cover. The Dark Element.
Yeah, I'm excited.
May 20th is it coming out?
May 20th. Yep.
Yes. That is fantastic, man. That looks awesome. Now, that's the third book in this series. Is it going to be a trilogy, or is it going to be longer, you think?
So the plan is to I'm hoping to do it in 5 books.
Nice.
I think I will. This one's obviously done. I've outlined book 4 pretty extensively. Okay. I think I can get the rest of the material in book 5. I don't have it completely mapped out yet either.
Okay.
So, but that's definitely the goal.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Very cool. Josh from Already Overbooked is here. What's up, Josh? Thanks for being here, man.
How you doing?
All right. So I think what I want to talk about first, before we get into anything else, is just the covers, because you just showed that new one, and I love your covers. Just walk me through a little bit about how you came up with the idea for the covers, and your cover artist, and how all of that went, because those are, I mean, there's simplicity to them, but they also have a lot going on, and they're just gorgeous.
Yeah, no. Well, the simplicity of it was a focus of mine. I kind of feel like when you think of some of the best series out there. Like I love Red Rising, and it's really just a simple cover. But you think of Ryan Cahill's series, same thing, those simple covers. And that's always been kind of. Don't get me wrong, like Wheel of Time is my favorite series, and I got the classics back here of the character art and all that, and those are awesome. But I always picture those more of like epic fantasy, those types of books. Where mine's definitely a sci-fi fantasy mix. So that's definitely what I was going for. It's kind of a crazy story, just because my journey of publishing book one is pretty nutty. But actually, like 5 years before I published The Forsaken Planet, I actually got the cover for it. And it was actually a pre-made cover. So my original plan, my wife does a little art, and she actually drew me a sketch way back when. My original plan was to have the globe like is on my cover on the lower half. My antagonist in my series, he's always wearing a red hood over his head. His face is kind of hidden. He's got kind of a orange glow burning in his eyes. I wanted that kind of head backdropped over Earth, kind of looking at it. That was always my original plan. But I don't know. I just started looking way back when, and I actually saw this was a pre-made on the cover collection is where I go. And I just loved it. I loved kind of how the font was like that. I said it's kind of that old school, just sci-fi vibe. And I thought that was kind of perfect. The one thing was if I put the head behind it, where was I going to kind of put the title, put everything? It would have been crowded. And I just said, this is kind of cool. It's kind of Star Warsy. It's
that's what it gives me, those vibes right away.
Which is perfect for my series. So but so I had to make a couple changes to it. If you see there's the purple, there's the red, they're kind of colliding with Earth. That's a metaphor for the story, kind of these powers that arrive here. But other than that, that was how that one came about. And I was just very fortunate that when I actually published this thing 5 years later, and then 6 years later, when I needed the cover for book 2, they were still around. The artist I worked with on that one was still around, and her and I just have a really good vibe going. I kind of send her an email, and she just knows exactly what I want each time. And so book 2 and book 3 were both customs, and book 2 took a few tries to get right, but book 3, this was literally like the first one she sent me after what I sent her, and it just was perfect. We did a little bit of color shading, but that was about it.
Oh man, they came out so good, dude. They are awesome.
Thank you.
So awesome. We got a couple more. We have 2 ELs in here. We got EL Lyons. Thanks for being here. I know it's late for you. Hopefully you can make it for a little bit. Thanks for being here. And EL Montague is here. And I agree with them. They're great covers. And like you said, it's sci-fi, and you know exactly what you're getting when you look at them, which is awesome. Kale is here. What's up, Kale? Thanks for being here. Morning for you. And Cinna's here. What's up, Cinna? Thanks for being here. All right. So I love, I've heard a little bit of your story from talking to you and seeing you on other things. So walk me through your just wild and crazy, and I think very inspirational path, your author's journey, your path to publishing your first book.
So my journey, so I'm 39. I started writing this in my late teens, so it's basically a 20-year journey to this point. But I always, when I was 12 years old, I read The Hobbit, and from there I was just sucked into books. I've always been a big time reader. I got into sci-fi a little bit later in my teens. I read Ender's Game, and that blew my mind. And I've always had this obsession kind of with space, the mysteries there. Mix that with my love of fantasy, and I always kind of read fantasy books and said, oh man, I feel like these fantasy worlds, maybe they're out there somewhere in the stars, So I just my goal was to basically write a story that took my love of space, took my love of fantasy, and kind of blended it all together. And that's what we got. I wrote, took me about 5 years, I think, to write my first draft. Was doing it here and there, did it through college. After I got out of college, I started my business. So it kind of sat on the wayside for a little bit. I want to say like 3 more years went by. Then I went back. I started editing it. I never took classes for writing or anything like that. My experience was only my heavy reading through life.
Okay.
But when I went through this editing phase, I took some online courses, videos, stuff like that, doing my best to teach myself.
Yeah.
Did a heavy edit. The first draft was 240,000 words of this. By publishing, I was able to cut that down to 175,000.
Wow,
So,
that's pretty good. That's a lot of work.
But yeah, then it sat for, that was when I think I got the cover, but then it sat for a while. I met my wife, we got married, had kids. I worked new home construction for a day job. So I built a house for us, and the thing just didn't get touched for 5-6 years at least. And what happened was my business slowed down kind of the tail end of 2022. And I picked it up for the first time in that 5 or 6 years. And I just read the story, and it had been so long in between that I kind of felt like I was reading it for the first time. I felt like I was reading another author's work. And, it still had a lot of work to be done to it. But I just remember thinking, obviously I'm biased and subjective, but I just remember thinking, I love this. I got to get it out there. I got to see what other people think of it. And yeah, so then I spent the next few months going hard at, I hired an editor, and I went hard at it, and it was published in June of 2023.
Man, and now you're getting ready to have 2 more books and a novella out now.
Yeah, and that's probably the craziest part. It was 20 years for book 1, and now I'm about to drop my 4th. Less than 2 years since that one did, but yeah, no. Once I got it out there and people started enjoying it, it was kind of a kick in the ass to. I gotta keep doing it. My business has been slower too. The economy in my area hasn't been great for construction, so that kind of helped in the sense of it allowed me to have more time to write. And I'm the type of person, when I set my sights on a project, it's hard for me to break away from it. And especially with writing, once you get into writing a book, it's like, you just hone in on it and you get in the zone, you start living those characters, you're breathing those characters. And it's almost like I can't stop until I get the book done. So that's why I'm actually going to take a break before I write book 4, because I'm afraid of what I'll do if I start. But yeah, so it's that's why the others came out so quick. So,
oh man, that is fantastic. It's pretty awesome. Like that you stuck with that story for so long. Like, I'm sure there were times where you're like, like I'm probably never gonna be able to finish that. It's never gonna happen. And now look at it, man.
I mean, it's probably a few years ago, it would cross my mind, and I would say that thing's never getting published. I'm never doing anything with that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy how we got here, but I'm glad I did, obviously, because there are people who have enjoyed it, and that's the whole point of doing it. Is to reading has always been an escape for me. I've come from a family that has a lot of anxiety issues and stuff like that, and it's a little bit rubbed off on me, and that's my getaway to just take a breath, escape the craziness of this world for a little bit. And I'm very happy that I seemingly have been able to do that for some other people.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely think you have been, man. It's fantastic. I mean, it inspires me because I'm 42 and I have still been wanting to write that first book. And, it just helps, I think, all of us see, like, it's never too late.
No,
it's never. Life has ebbs and flows. Eventually you're going to have your shot. You just got to take advantage of it and go for it.
For sure. And no, it's like you said, it's never too late. And the good thing about writing is I feel like it's almost the perfect thing to do too when retirement rolls around whenever, so it's
exactly
good. Try and just start writing and build that audience now. So it's ready. It's there.
I love it, man. All right, we got a couple other awesome authors that popped in. We got Zach Forbes is here. What's up, Zach? Thanks for being here. And JCM Byrne is here. He says he'll stay till EL passes out. And JCM published his first book 3 months before he turned 50. So heck yeah, man.
Oh, wow. And that is a fantastic book. I actually just read it recently. I loved it.
Oh, it's so good. I can't wait to get to book 2. The first one was so good.
Yep. Same here.
Awesome. Now your books, I did not follow your recommended thing, because you say you should read the novella after book 1, right?
Technically it's probably best after book 2, actually.
Oh, after book 2? Oh man, I already read it.
But it doesn't matter. It could be read at any point. Actually, the whole point of writing it was to try to get people to because my books are so long, to try and have a shorter sample for people to read, to hopefully dive in. And I've had quite a few who they read the novella first, and that's
Yeah.
what's gotten them into the
Oh,
series. So
it's so good, man. It was so
I didn't know
good.
you read it. I'm glad you read it.
Yeah, I read it. It was so good. I read it in one sitting, man. It was so
Oh,
good.
nice. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dude, it was awesome. And I kind of remembered you saying not to read it before, but then I was thinking, well, I think this takes place before. So I was thinking like book 1 was gonna pick up where that left off. And I'm like, oh wait, no, that's right. This is like different characters, different spot in the
To be
story.
honest with you, the elements of the novella don't really even come into play, many of them, until book 3. There's some stuff, you know, some Easter eggs thrown in there from the earlier books, but it's heavy. I tell everyone, it doesn't matter when you read it. There's no preference. It's not really going to matter, but it's going to have the best effect reading before point 3, because there's going to be like, oh shit moments from between the novella and book 3.
All right. So. Man, so I'll have to, when I get done with book 2, I'll have to refresh myself on it then.
Yeah.
To have it have that impact. Because man, it was good, dude. You write, I mean, I'm sure in your books it's even better, but in that novella, you wrote like the action sequences and the fights and like the drama and everything, suspense, so good. I was hooked, man. It was awesome.
That's been probably my area of highest. Well, I don't want to say that, but one of my areas of highest praise is definitely everyone seems to enjoy the action sequences, and that's quite really my favorite parts of books that I read. So it was definitely a point of mine to try and get them in. And I definitely, the first book, there's action, but it's not as action heavy as all the other books. Book 2 and 3 are very, very action driven. So, and that's always the hope I had for this series.
Okay. So. That's good. I feel like that's kind of how a lot of series end up. Like there's action in all of them, but the first book, you got to take some time and, you know, set up the characters and the world and the story. And I'm excited too, because even in that little novella, like I was like, just being pulled along, doing whatever you wanted me to do. Cause I loved certain characters. I hated certain characters. If you know, you know. And I, even like some of your side characters, like, I'll tell you exactly who later, because I don't want to spoil anything, but there was like a side character that the main character just kind of runs into, and I really liked him. And then like later, like it hints that something bad might have happened to them. And then I'm like, oh man, I don't know what happened to them. I want to know if they're okay. And I'm like, and that was just like a couple pages they were on, and I love that character. So like, I think you write characters so good. Just in that novella, I'm excited to see in a full book what you do with them.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's obviously as a writer, that's got to be a goal of trying to. And my first book is definitely more so character driven. They're all character driven, but the first one just more so because the first one's, like you said, the world building, the character building. It's the training. I've never liked books that are the characters go off. I mean, my characters are from Earth, so this idea that they're going to go off, they're going to learn how to fight in these futuristic, you know, space fights with this magical power intermixed into it. The idea that they're going to go and do that in 2 chapters just would never have made sense. I'm sure some people read my book and think, oh, it's a little too much training, but I very much, you know, I wanted it to be that. It's that on purpose, and it makes sense for my later books just because things really kick off in book 2 and it doesn't stop from there. So I wanted you to actually believe that these nobodies from Earth kind of learned to be adequate fighters. And you know, the training, the Brotherhood joined from there. One of my favorite, probably my favorite TV series ever is Band of Brothers.
So good.
Yeah. So it was very important to me to build that camaraderie and that brotherhood of what happens in war and how you form that, and especially in the training leading up to it. And you know, that plays heavily in book 3. That starts to play much more of a factor. It was elements I established in book 1. They didn't really show in book 2, and but they were fully designed to come out later on in the series, which they finally do in book 3.
Nice. Well, I think that's good too anyway, because I think that'll probably give it a sense of like groundedness. If it's not like you said, sometimes things can be a little unbelievable, and it can take you out of the story a little, you know. Sure. So when it has that grounded realism, like, well, yeah, obviously they need to get better before they can do all these things. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Rob Lee is here. What's up, Rob?
Hey,
thanks for
Rob.
being here, man. We got an awesome
He's one of the top fans of my books.
Yeah.
He's
Ooh, I like this.
a good writer himself too.
I love Starship Trooper. Camp Pinsky. Oh man, that's good. That's good. Yeah, and he's got awesome books. I read Death Metal Bard, which was fantastic, but I got to read I got to finish Pathlighter.
Yeah, I read Pathlighter. It's great. I loved it.
I started it. It's so good so far.
He's another one who writes great action scenes. And honestly, when I read his book, I was like, his book is like almost nonstop action throughout. And in my head, I was just like, how did he still write a good story? Because, you know, sometimes those ones that are just, it never stops. They feel like it's action for action's sake. And his always made sense. And yet the story still, the pacing flowed fantastically, even though it was a ton of action. And it was really good.
Oh man, I can't wait. Novel Insights is here. What's up, man? Yeah. All right. So this comment is because a long time ago in a book haul, like one of the first ones I did, probably almost a year ago, I had gone thrifting and I got this book by John. I think it's by John Grisham. I don't remember, but it's called Rogue Lawyer, where this lawyer like has like a bulletproof van and like a bodyguard, and he like goes and helps people like in bad parts of town and takes on any case. And it just sounded fun. And Novel Insights was going to read it too. And he's like, yeah, let me know when you're done and we can, talk about it. I still not read it. And this book is not even that long, but it's just, there's too many things to read.
Oh, you're having too many of these interviews. You got to read the author.
Right? Exactly. Got it. Oh man. All right. Well, and Rob says, thanks to you for the kind words.
Of course.
All right. So, I'm curious. We talked about how book one, it took so long to write it. What did you feel like you changed anything between book 1 to 2 and 2 to 3? Or was it just, that old saying that every book you write, you kind of learn things and you grow and all that? Or did you like specifically change certain things, you think, when you were writing book 2?
So a mix of all of that.
Okay.
I definitely, throughout the process of working with a actual editor in book 1 and working with beta readers in book 1, that definitely upped my game a big amount. It helps you, when you do your own work. Like I said, I was never part of writing groups or critiquing groups, anything like that. So when you're doing your own work, you're only going by your own subjective takes. So when you work with other people, it allows you to experience more of what those people look for in books and, that sort of thing. That definitely upped my game in that regard. But on the flip side, there were things I definitely purposefully changed. I always envisioned this series as a multiple POV series. In my first book, while it is multiple POVs, it is like 90% follows the main character, Colton. It was just, I was in the very beginning, I remember, and it was hard for me to I think if you read it, it makes sense. It's you're following Colton, you're with him, his close group of friends. You're learning about these new people they become friends with through their lens. And I just think that makes sense to the rest of the story. But when book 2 rolled around, there was no way I was going to be able to tell this story from just one point of view. I mean, we have characters splitting up. They're going to different worlds. They're going to different solar systems. It's a whole thing. So yeah, that book. I forget how many I have exactly. I want to say 5 maybe in book 2, and then I upped it to 7 in book 3. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
I like that nice progression of more POVs. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then there's some that are more expansive than others that are dwelled on more than others. But yeah, it was just the point. I think probably the earliest praise I'm getting, or the most consistent earliest praise I'm getting on book 3 is you had a lot of secondary characters from the other 2 books who they get much more of a focus in book 3. And I've had some who are like, these are now my favorite. They were just, I barely thought of them in the other books. Now they're my favorite characters. So, and that's always, I feel like, kind of what great series do. At least they did for me. So it was definitely intentional to try and do that.
That's awesome, man. That gets me pumped. JCM said that you wanted more POVs in that first book. So that was probably a good decision that you made. Yeah. So I don't forget to ask, Senna loves audiobooks. That's what she devours. and she said she couldn't find audio. Do you have audiobooks, or do you have plans for audiobooks?
Believe me, it's something I think about probably every day. Because I run Facebook ads too, and Meta ads, and by far the comment I get all the time on them are, is it out in audio? When's it going to be out in audio? Are you considering audio? And I absolutely am considering it, but audio is also, if you want to do it right, it's also probably the greatest cost. At least the way I've been able to work a system where I can keep the cost down in the development of my books. My cover artists using these simplified covers aren't as expensive as some other people are paying for their covers. And, and so that just makes, though, looking at the audio prices of what that would cost. And I'm kind of looking at it in my head like, well, I don't want to do one now. What if another book doesn't come out for 2 or 3 years? What if that narrator's gone? Now that I have 3, I think I'm going to do a little more focus of maybe doing 3, trying to get a deal for 3 of them. But I did want to be closer to the end of my series. I see a lot of people that they got their first book out, they're doing audio. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, what if, what if 10 years from now you're still writing that series? And that narrator might be gone.
Yeah.
So,
because you definitely want that consistency with audio. I feel like, especially if they do a great job and people love it, then they go to listen to 2 and they're like, who the heck is reading this?
Yeah. My whole thing is when I do it, I want to do it right. So I got can forever do it at some point. So it's definitely a goal. Got to save up a little more money to do it. But when I do, it'll get done.
That's awesome, man. Very cool. All right. So before I ask any more questions, I have one unrelated question for you, Bryan. And that is, as a fellow dad, do you like dad jokes?
I love dad jokes. I don't know how good I am at them, but I love them.
All right. So I've got some dad jokes here. So I'm going to let you pick which one I end up telling you. I'm going to give you just a little clue about them. Do you want to hear a dad joke about a cell phone, a dog, or a pencil?
Let's do the pencil one.
All right. Why shouldn't you write with a broken pencil?
I don't know why.
Because it's pointless.
Okay. I should have got that one. That's bad on me. My daughter would probably laugh. That's the whole point.
My kids, actually not my kids. My 7-year-old loves these. My other kids are like, that's how many of these. But once in a while, there'll be a good zinger in here where it's like, okay, that's pretty good. That one was all right. That was like a C+. I'll give that one. That one's all right.
A good grade.
Yeah, it was pretty average, but it was all right. All right. So I kind of want to, before I move on to questions about your writing process and stuff, I always like to pick your guys' brains and figure out how you do stuff like that. But I do have one question. What are you most excited about for book 3? Since you're getting ready to release it into the wild in just, less than 3 weeks here, what are you most excited about for the new book that's coming out?
I think I'm just most excited about for people to read it. I know that's probably a bland, generic statement, but it's the truth. I feel like it's by far I love all my books, but I feel like it's by far my best work. I love it's been my story. I've had ideas. I finished. I want to say like 12 plus years ago. I finished writing the first draft of The Forsaken Planet. So since then, I've had the ideas for books 2, books 3, books 4 floating in my head, and two especially was like thought out. That's probably why I wrote it so fast. It was thought out completely.
Yeah.
Book 3, I had a good chunk of it thought out. Book 4, I got it's outlined now, but at the time I had a decent amount of it thought out. But books 2 and 3, those were really soaking in my head and marinating for a while. So I think I'm just excited to finally have all these ideas out there. I said earlier how there's things I put in book 1 that really some people might have read them in book 1, and after finishing the book kind of been like, well, why'd they put that in there? And there were things like that ended up making sense more in book 2, and there's things like that now end up making sense, I hope, in book 3. And this is really that point of where just all of that was sitting there really comes to a head in book 3. Okay. And so I think I'm just excited to have that out there and to the world.
Heck yeah, man. That gets me pumped. Show us that cover one more time up close. And I'll actually probably tell you to do it more than one more time. But I just love that cover. It's so cool. Now, how did you come up with? Did you have that idea? Like, do you explain what you want to your cover artist, or do you actually find like images and kind of show her?
So I explain it. She usually, so like for the second book, I explained it. She did a draft. I didn't like how kind of the first draft came out, and then I found some images to kind of show her what I meant for certain things, like the pyramid and the background and that stuff. And then we went from there. This one, I basically just explained it, but when I explained it, I did send some pictures just to give a little bit of an idea. And yeah, she just she nailed it right from the start.
That's so cool, man. It looks fantastic. I love it. All right. Oh, I should say too, anybody watching in the live chat or on replay, all Bryan's books are linked in the description down below and his website. So go there, check everything out. I tried to find the pre-order link, but I couldn't find it on Amazon. Is it not there?
For book 3, I don't have it up yet.
Okay, good. I was worried.
Things you learn when you're doing self-publishing, and something I definitely learned on my second book was putting the pre-order up too early.
Oh yeah.
It's all about catching the algorithm with Amazon, and you know, when pre-orders, I didn't get but so many, and they actually start their rankings and algorithms when the pre-order goes up. So I want it coming out a little closer. I have a much better plan, I think, in store for book 3. So we'll see.
That's good. That's another question I have, I guess, before I talk about all writing stuff. I feel like you do a really good job with marketing. Like, I feel like you're always getting out there, getting the word out. You talked about how you use Facebook. Do you feel like you've kind of like cranked up the marketing as you've released each book and learned about more things, and probably learned things that aren't worth doing? Do you feel less lost with marketing now than you did when the first book came out?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, when The Forsaken Planet came out, I was never on social media like ever before publishing. When Forsaken Planet came out, I opened up all of my author socials. Well, I only did at the time Instagram and Twitter, or X. And I opened them up in April, and I published it in June. So I didn't have much of a following by the time the book came out. Somehow I actually did, though. You know, I somehow made connections and relationships with certain people who are actually pretty prominent in the indie bubble sphere.
Good.
I don't even remember how I did that, to be honest with you, but you know, I was lucky to get them along. They read it, enjoyed it, and they're still, you know, reading actually the review, Graham Mulver's Library on Sci-Fi Addict. He was one of the first to take The Forsaken Planet on, and I don't remember how that came about. And he's now, you know, I think a fan of he loved the third book, so he's been reading them all. So yeah,
that's good. Well, I mean, that cover does a lot of marketing. You just got to get it out there for people to see, and it's like everybody wants to get it. You want to hold it.
Yeah. No, it's I think this has definitely been the most hyped one cover wise for all of them.
For sure.
But yeah, no, the second book, you know, I had a plan going in. I did like a video tour, kind of similar to what I'm hoping for this one, what we're doing now. But second book, I think I went a little too hard. I burnt myself out and kind of crashed after it dropped. So I think I learned some lessons from that, and I think I got a more. It was kind of throw crap at the wall and see what sticks back then. And now I kind of have a more formalized game plan in store, and it's definitely got a hectic month ahead for me. It's going to be very busy, but at the same time, I feel like it's a little more organized this time around. So I'm hoping we'll see how the results are from that.
That's good. Shane just popped up in here. What's up, Shane? Awesome reviewer. Shane? Thanks for being here, Shane. We appreciate it, man. All right, so I got some writing process questions for you. So there's a few things I always like to ask that people have been wondering about before. So first is on the scale. It's a pretty big scale, but from pantser to plotter, where would you say you fall? Are you like right in the middle where you use equal amounts of both?
Plotter.
Or do you cheat? You're more of a plotter?
Oh,
That
yeah,
doesn't surprise me. I thought you would say that.
You know, I'm not. I know I've heard of some people who are basically writing a novella worth of outline to
Yeah.
for their books. I'm not that crazy with it, but I have the story pretty much mostly mapped out.
Okay.
I will have at least a paragraph written for each chapter just to break down what's going to happen in that chapter. Some chapters, the more important ones, I'll have 2 pages written. And then as I'm going with the story, you know, I might start with, say, 12 to 15 page outline. And then as I'm going with the story, though, by the time I'm at like chapter 5, I've probably added another page down to future chapters. Just, you know, you hit a sequence, you say, oh yeah, I got to remember that down the road at this part, blah, blah, blah. And it just keeps going right up till the end. I'm basically adding stuff. And, but yeah, I'm definitely more so on the plotting side.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't judge anyone, but I can't fathom how people write books without plot. Like how people just start, they go, and they're like, I just go with my characters. I'm like, wow,
I know. So have you gone a little to the pantser side at all while you've been writing? Like you plot out how the story will go. Has a character like made you change your mind and made them do something different, or maybe survive when they weren't supposed to and have a bigger part, or maybe they weren't supposed to have a big part and then you wrote that character and you're like, they got to have a bigger part? Has any of that happened to you, or have you pretty much stuck to your notes?
Not too much. I've pretty much stuck to my note. You know, I always take a lot of pride when people say like the pacing's good, because it's basically been you know, especially book 2 and book 3, I didn't work with a developmental editor on either. I worked with, you know, a line editor and a proofreader, but not a developmental. And so it's basically my structure, my pacing throughout. But I do work with beta readers, and they have thrown in some notes of, you know, you might want to add a scene here, or you might want to, you know, condense this scene a little bit, stuff like that. And I've definitely had stuff on that end, which was good advice that I followed and listened to and went with. But for the most part, my the plots stay. There's been some, you know, there's some small things that change and whatnot. And maybe as the story's going and it's getting longer, I'm saying, you know what, I don't need this little part here, or something like that. But nothing major, like someone who's supposed to die staying alive or anything like that.
Okay. So that's good. When I get going in your books, if somebody dies, I'll know that they were always meant to, and it's okay.
There's a character in book 3 that my editor basically was like, would pay me money to if I kept him from not dying. But,
sorry, it's in the notes.
Gotta happen, you know.
All right, awesome. Want to shout out Audrey just hopped in. What's up, Audrey? Thanks for being here. All right. Next question is, when you're writing a book, or I guess, I mean, you put out a lot of books in the last couple of years, so pretty much always, do you write like at the same time every day, no matter what? Do you make weekly or daily goals? Or with kids and work and all that, do you just kind of write whenever it works throughout the day or throughout the week? How do you manage all that?
When I can. I don't do the goals. I don't do the try to get 1,000 words a day. I don't do any of that, because I'll just stress myself out. I'll drive my wife crazy. I'll feel like I'm a bad dad if I do that. So that's not the point. You know, I still want this to be for fun. I still want to be happy with doing it. And so for me, it's just, I'm running a company outside of all of this, and I have 2 young children, and I have a wife in a marriage that I want to keep happy. So,
that's smart.
It's, you know, it's right basically when I can. You know, I said earlier how I work in construction in my area. The economy's been a little bad in that terms. That has allowed me more time to write over the last couple of years. And but I'm still very much a work in progress of setting you know, I'm picking up more so this year on the construction side of things. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, because I am the type of person of, once I get in the zone, I don't want to stop. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm in my bed at night, and just, it's going through my brain, scenes upon scenes, and I'm grabbing my phone and I'm jotting down these notes in my phone. And so it's going to be hard to definitely do a little bit here, a little bit there. And that's going to be more so, I'm going to have to adapt to that. I know moving forward, it's going to take a little longer for me to get the next books out. But but yeah, it's definitely not I can't put the pressure on myself of do this here. And I know that probably is what helps people to write, but just with everything else going on in my life, I wouldn't be able to handle that. It'd probably just make me hate writing, and I would just stop doing it for a long time. So
yeah, and we don't want that. We don't want that. All right, very cool. So next, you talked about how reading has always been a love, passion for you. While you're writing, when you're like really in the nitty gritty, trying to get a book done, do you still find time to read, and how often? Or is it like when you're focused on finishing that book, you kind of put reading aside until you're done with it, and then maybe have more time to read?
yeah, it's definitely it depends on the stage I'm in.
Okay.
Like when I'm drafting my stories, I try to do that. I don't like doing that at night. I'll either do it early morning, or like I said, I'm fortunate enough that I run my own schedule. So I can find time during the day to do that. And because at night is kind of I still try and do some marketing at night. I make a lot of my graphics that I'll use for marketing purposes at nighttime, but nights to kind of just turn my brain off and chill for a second. You have kids, you understand it too, especially the end of the days are always the hardest and the most chaotic. So I kind of need just a chill down moment. And so that's where I fit writing in a lot. So like when I'm drafting, reading in a lot. So when I'm drafting, I'm able to get a good amount of reading in. But then when I get to editing phase, that's when things get a little tougher, especially when I'm doing my read throughs, because then my read throughs, I don't know, they just take a lot of time for me. It's hard for me to read my own books and enjoy them because I'm nitpicking. I'm a perfectionist by nature, so I'm just nitpicking every little thing. And that's even after like doing my final read through. I worked with a very established line editor, proofreader, and I'm sitting there just like, is this phrase right? Is this right? Did I do the grammar right here? And it's like I gotta just stop doing it. I think the editor, the beta readers, no one else said anything about it, so I'm sure it's right. But so yeah, it all depends on what stage I'm in. It's like I said, if I'm doing read throughs of my own books, it's tough for me to read, but I try to make a point of reading because I've always loved it. I want to fit it in, and I'm also trying to support and I want to learn about my fellow indie authors and see what they're writing. I didn't read any indie work until I actually published, and I now have a love for it. I can't believe how many fantastic indie books there are out there, and it just goes to show that, this trad doesn't mean much to me nowadays anymore, because I know there's very good writers out there, and it's a shame that we can't all be blowing up all over all the charts and everything, but I at least want to read the works and experience as much of it as I can.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love how supportive you are of the indie community and all the other indie authors. I think that's awesome, man. It's very cool. And you're right.
Very supportive of me, a lot of them too. So it's, it's just scratch. I don't want to say scratch one's back, scratch the other, because it makes it seem like that's the only reason we're doing it. But it's, it's just a respect thing, I think.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. All right. Next up, when you're writing, do you listen to music or podcasts or anything, background noise, or do you need it to be completely quiet?
So I mostly need quiet. I tried to listen to music every now and then when writing, and it just it doesn't work for me. I find my thoughts drift. I can't connect them as well. When I very much envision my scenes like within my head when I'm writing them, and so I just need to be able to kind of be there. With that said, there is actually one scene though in book 3, one of my female main protagonists, her rival, they've been clashing for a little while in the series, and their ultimate final showdown came to a head. And for whatever reason, when I wrote that fight scene, I needed like some intense music. I don't know why. When I was writing it, I just had this urge to play some kind of like, I think it was almost like cyberpunk, but it had like this intensity to it. I don't even know why. It was weird because I don't like listening to things, but the whole time writing it, I listened to something. I just kept replaying the same song over and over again. And funny enough though, that scene was also one that needed kind of more heavy editing after when I went back, because I think it wasn't as focused.
Right.
And I wasn't as focused on not repeating myself and stuff like that and repeating words and whatnot, but the action sequence still came out fantastic. So yeah, I'm glad I did it.
That's good. That's good. That's awesome. All right. I think that's it for writing. So we're going to switch gears in a minute, and I got some questions so we can get to know you outside of writing. They're very simple, so no worries. But we're going to do a little game first. I've got these 1-minute mystery cards. So I have these cards. They have a case on them. Then it tells you the mystery, and then there's a bunch of clues, and we can see if you can solve this case within a minute. And the chat can help.
Okay.
And so just have fun with it. We've had people that didn't solve it. We've had people that solved it as I was reading the case, and we've had everywhere in between. So it should be a good time. Let me make sure we haven't done any of these. All right. No, we have not. So I've got 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you want to do?
Go with number 2.
2. All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Chat, go ahead and help out if you want. Oh, we should shout out Ryan Skeffington just popped in. What's up? Like Ryan, but 25% more. That's right. All right, here we go. Here is the case. Vito leads a group of people into a dark room that's filled with an overwhelming odor. The people are silent the whole time they are in the room. If they speak too often or too loudly, Vito reprimands them. All right, so the mystery is, where are all these people at? You want me to read it again?
Read it again. Yeah, okay. I wasn't expecting it to go that route.
All right, so Vito leads a group of people into a dark room that's filled with an overwhelming odor. The people are silent the whole time they're in the room. If they speak too often or too loudly, Vito reprimands them. So where are all these people? And I guess, what is Vito's job? Yeah,
it's a little vague.
I know it starts vague. I've got 5 clues that I can give you, and as you go through them, they get a little more obvious by the time you get to the end. So are you ready for your first?
My dad brain is the first thing coming to mind is in like a nursery or something.
That's a good thought. That's a good thought.
It's not, or something like that.
It's not nursery. We got some good guesses in the chat. It's not library or church. Those are all good guesses, though.
Those are good guesses.
All right. Are you ready for the first? Let's see. I'll give you the first 2 clues. We'll see if it changes anything.
Okay.
So first one is people often laugh or cry, and all the people are sitting down.
Thinking movie theater, but that doesn't make the smell.
Popcorn.
Okay. But didn't you say a bad smell?
It said overwhelming odor. I think they used the word odor on purpose to make you think it was bad.
Because I had in my head what smells bad.
Right, because I feel
like I was thinking baby dirty diapers.
That's why I'm like, ooh man, that word odor is what throws you off. Because if it would have just said a strong smell or overwhelming smell, you might have think like, oh, it could be something good. But you hear odor and you're like, ooh, that's gotta be something bad.
Yep, definitely.
And I think everybody agreed because both JCM said Morgan. Britton, thanks for being here, Britton. He said funeral. So
that one makes sense actually.
Well, not JCM, you're not like overwhelmed, but it's like they use words to trick us. All right.
I agree with Joe. It was bad wordage on the
I know that's how they throw you off. They use weird wording. But
gotcha.
You got it though.
I got it.
You did it.
Somehow, some way. I did it. Proud of myself.
See here we go. Movie theater popcorn smell is overwhelming. Like in a good way if you like popcorn, but overwhelming is not the word anyone would use normally, and that's why they used it. So it would throw you off. Oh man, nicely done. I'm going to give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Hopefully someday we'll be in a movie theater to see a movie based on your books.
That would be pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right. It's gonna happen, man.
We'll see.
So before we get into the questions, now that made me think, if if a big studio is going to pick up your books and they came to you and they said, we want you to be involved with the casting, who would you cast for, like, do you have an idea of what any of them that you would think, like, or at least like a it doesn't have to be specifically a person, but like what you would picture them looking like in the movie?
Oh man, I think of this sometimes, and I don't really come up with much. Yeah, I think my problem is, my characters are all young 20s, a lot of the main characters, and I'm just not in with who's popular, who's not popular nowadays. Because they have to be someone around that age. So, I think that might be why it's a little tougher. I always kind of envisioned it. I would be, we'd bring in a bunch of new, fresh, first-time actors and actresses, and it would take off all their careers.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like that's a good way to do it with fantasy and sci-fi stuff, especially if it's going to possibly be more than one movie, because you don't want people to be like, oh, that's whatever they were in a different movie. You want them to be that person, that character.
Exactly. I think that was a big part of Game of Thrones, why it was so successful, and unfortunately for those actors and actresses, it's why I think some of them have had tougher times since the show, because now no one can look at them without envisioning those characters. So
I agree.
It's a blessing and a curse, but that would definitely be, I think, my aim going into it. I do have, there are some older characters, there's mentor characters and stuff like that. I don't know though. I don't know who I would. I
know it's tough.
I would like what's the guy? I can't think of the guy's name right now that plays Wolverine. Like him back in the day would be a perfect. He would be like my perfect main mentor character.
That'd be sweet.
But back in the day, him a little younger,
Yeah, a little gray in the beard. Oh, that's cool, man. This is funny that Shane said this, because when you're talking about popular actors, that youthful age, I'm like, the only one I can think of is Timothée Chalamet. He's in everything now, so you wouldn't want him.
Honestly, I don't really like him as an actor, to be honest with you. I always, watching the Dune movies, I was like, I'm just like, why does this kid get everything? I felt like he was kind of stale. I know a lot of people love him, and obviously people love the Dune movies, so that might be a hot take, but I'm always just kind of like, kind of looks like he's just staring and looking lost in thought over there. I don't know. I never really liked him that much.
Oh man, he probably thinks he's looking broody.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, and here we go. Britton, thanks for being here, man. I'm glad. And you left just in time for us to talk about odors and popcorn. Oh man. All right. So you ready for these questions? Hard hitting. All right. Yep. All right. First one, we'll start with something light. What is your favorite color?
Green.
Nice.
Anyone who reads my book will probably know that, just because when I use the magic system in my book, it it exudes from the character's eyes and like in a haze around them, and the main character's green. So there's a lot of talk of green, different green colors and whatnot in my series.
Nice. I like that. Now, why is it green? Has it always just been a color you liked, or is there something from back in the day that made you love green?
It's just been what I've liked since I was a kid. But on top of that, I'm kind of a mutt ancestry wise, but the only thing that is on both sides of my family is Irish. So
then I
got into the Irish culture when I hit 21, and like everyone, and so that just grew the love of green at that point.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. All right, what's your favorite food?
That's a tough question.
It is a tough one.
I don't know if I really have a favorite food. I'm very much like a mood person. So it's the mood I'm in. If I'm craving a burger, I want a good Five Guys burger and fries.
I love Five Guys.
If I'm craving pizza, I live 15 minutes from New Haven, Connecticut, which is the pizza capital of the world. So it's just, I'll get some Pepe's or some Sally's pizza down there, and it's heaven.
That sounds good.
I grew up with a Japanese stepfather, and he always brought us to hibachi. It was like, how like Italians go to the Italian restaurant, and they sit there and the owners give them free drinks and they sit there for hours. Well, we went to the hibachi restaurant and sat there for hours and got free sake and free sushi and stuff like that. So that's definitely a big one I love too. So it's just what mood I'm in, I think.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's very good. I got to shout out Sinner real quick. Thanks for the super chat. And she loves green too.
Nice.
His Mexican lager food group. For you, Ryan, it can be.
It's a great drink right there.
Yeah, that is. Now, do you have a food, I guess, that you do not like, that you will not eat, and the mood will never strike to eat because you didn't like it when you had it once?
Oh man, there's definitely something out there, but I'm trying to think. I don't like eggplant. I can't stand. I don't know why. I just never liked it. I don't know. I'm blanking.
That's eggplant, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I've had eggplant parmesan before. Not the same as chicken parmesan.
No, not even close. Every time I go to a party and people have that, I'm like,
oh no, what is this? Oh man, I love it. I love it. All right. So we know that you're an awesome writer. Tell us a hobby or a talent that you have that that we don't know about.
Probably be I'm actually, well, I used to be, I haven't played in forever, but I used to be a pretty good poker player.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Actually played a couple World Series circuit events in the past.
What?
And,
no way.
I made the final two tables in one of them, and I made the final table in another one of them. So this was a long time ago. It was God, I think it's got to be close to 10 years ago at least.
That's pretty sweet though, dude.
Yeah, no, it's not in like Vegas or anything like that. Just the World Series circuit goes around all over the country. I live like 45 minutes from Foxwoods Casino, and they used to have it all the time there. And but yeah, I've been playing since I was probably like 18. Well, again, not so much anymore. I haven't played in years, but me and my buddies all did for years and years and years, and then eventually when I grew somewhat into an adult, that was another hobby I took off with and just went and like to go play in I never liked playing like the cash game stuff like that. I always just like it's kind of the competitive nature, I think, too, of tournaments. And so that's what I did.
Oh man, that is awesome. I gotta say something about that in a second, but I want to shout out Love and Lore. Caden is here. Says he loves Bryan. He's gonna be on Bees Friends Forever next week.
Nice. Just had his awesome release.
Yes, I'm excited.
Hey, Mike, I'll be going on Bald and Balding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you'll be there.
I gotta look. I think it's next week.
I feel like that's what it said on the thing. But so you were talking about poker. We should start an indie and booktube like poker thing. Find a way to do it like online. And
100%. I'd love that.
That'd be fun.
Well, he said I would love to do that, and I would love to do like a fantasy football league with.
Dude, we should
definitely do that. I can't find anyone in the indie bubble who's in the sports like I am.
Yeah, man. I want to do the same thing, and then like I talk to people, and they're like, I don't really watch sports. I'm like, oh, dang it.
I mean, I'm not huge on sports. I only got so much time to watch it now. But football is number one, and I love hockey too. But I've been falling out of that a little bit. But that's probably because my Rangers were terrible this year. So,
hey, I know that. I used to love hockey too, but I'm a big Red Wings fan. And back in the day, it was a lot of fun, but not for the last long time. Well, here we go. We got Ryan says he's in. Shane says he's in.
Nice.
And Senna's in. All right, it's growing. We're gonna do it.
Hey, that's 5. We need like a solid 8 for a league.
I know. Yeah,
3 more.
We're gonna do this for real, man. That would be so fun.
It's coming up, right? What, August?
Yeah, I mean August. Because first games will be beginning of September. So we got to find a few more people.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I was gonna say I thought I had this great idea like in the fall. Because I thought there was probably a lot of people that are into sports that are in this community. So I did this video of like making a fantasy starting lineup out of fantasy book characters and sci-fi book characters. Like who would be a QB, who'd be a good.
That's always cool.
Yeah, and I did it, and like probably my worst viewed video ever. I mean, this was also early on when I had like no subscribers. That could be part of it, but still, it did not catch on like I thought it would.
There's just not that many sports watchers out there in this indie bubble.
I don't think so. Which is probably good because they probably read a lot more than me because they're like, I'm reading books. I don't got time for that. That's the way to do it. That's cool. I have not had anyone say they were a really good poker player. So that I love when I hear something new. That's
Well,
exciting.
used to be decent. I didn't say really good, but
You played in like the world circuit, and I don't care if it wasn't.
it was
big.
good. There were pros. There were people I used to watch on TV
Yeah,
who were playing the thing. So it was
I was
definitely
gonna
cool
say
playing,
that's
sitting at tables
legit,
with them
man.
and doing it. But man, it's been a while. I'd
Oh,
probably poker's something you kind of need to keep fresh in your brain. I feel like that game's evolving a lot, over
oh yeah.
time. So I don't know how I would be nowadays, but
Oh,
we'll
all
see.
right.
I'll play again one day.
Okay. Pretend this is a poker game. Just real quick. Show us your like poker face that you would have when you don't want them to know what you have.
I don't even remember what it was, but just sit there and can't stop smiling, which is stupid because I never do that. But no, it's probably just like,
Oh man, I wouldn't be able to tell at all. Look at that poker face. I wish I had a zoom in edit on here right now. I would have zoomed right in.
that's the thing. I think about that, and I'm like, if I started playing, would I be able to still keep that just stoic, just no
Oh yeah,
emotion
man.
on the face?
You could. Look at that. You nailed it. And that was with me laughing while you were trying to do it. That was good. All right. Were you ever, or are you currently a gamer? Have you ever been into video games?
When I was younger, I loved them, but I was never that much into the online play. The only one I ever really played online was Gears of War 1, which
Oh
I
yeah.
played for a while. God, I love that. I miss those days.
Those are fun. Yeah.
Then I remember Gears of War 2 came out and they like changed everything with it, and I hated the online play. But besides that, it all started. I way back when played the Final Fantasies growing up, the Resident Evils, the old ones. I love those
me
games.
too. Yeah.
Then Halo. Halo was the big one. That was the one in high school. Me and my buddies would, they had the link you could connect the two Xboxes in different rooms and different TVs, and I'll never forget those days. Those are the days I look back on, and it's like I wish I could just knock that kid in the head and be like, "Hey, this is about as good as it's gonna get, man. Enjoy this."
Right. Enjoy it. Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Those were the
my
days.
buddy's mom used to get so mad at us. She'd come in the room and she'd be like, "I'm glad you're all here and you're safe and having fun, but can you not swear so much?" I'd be like, "I fucking shot you right in the face."
It's like impossible when you're playing games like that to not do that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough now, especially since I've started the writing. It's just no time for it. Before my first daughter was born, I tried to play a Final Fantasy IX playthrough again for the second or third time, and I got about halfway through the second disc, and then she was born and never touched it again. And the only game I've played since my kids were born was I played The Last of Us 2 when it came out.
Wow.
I love that series so much.
Me too. So good. Have you watched the show?
Yeah, I watched the show. I'd been loving the second season.
I haven't watched the second season yet.
I'm a little worried with the direction they're taking. They made some changes from the game, and
I figured they would probably make some
in my mind, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I
feel
love that game. That game is just
so
I still think that game is probably. I'm all about storylines. So like when I played games, I used to play the campaigns and stuff.
Me too.
And that game has to be probably the best storyline of any game ever. I mean, when that scene happens in the second one, I couldn't put my controller down. I was like, I'm the next week here. I need my revenge. Like this is not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. I know they suck you into that game.
Oh yeah.
Different than any game I'd ever played. I agree. For sure.
It's the perfect game to make a show because the game is basically a movie in itself. So
yeah. Oh yeah, it is really. You're like just playing so you can get to the next cutscene.
Basically.
It's so good. I agree. Awesome. Okay. What about in a minute I'm going to ask you about some of your favorite authors and books that inspired you in your writing, but what about TV shows, movies? What were some of those growing up and as an adult that are your favorite, but also maybe that inspired your writing a little bit?
TV shows. I said earlier, Band of Brothers. That is my favorite. I think on-screen anything. I just think that is so brilliant, that miniseries. That definitely played heavily into my books. Game of Thrones was obviously a favorite growing up.
Oh yeah.
My two favorite movies of all time are, well, really the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, but Fellowship of the Ring, I just adore
So
that
good.
movie.
Yeah.
And then Interstellar just blew my mind. And it's obviously for me, it's perfect. You got that space
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and epic fantasy,
Yeah.
just my two favorite things. So yeah, those would definitely be some of my my favorite stuff.
Nice. Very good. Solid choices. I agree with those. All right. What about books? You talked about you love Red Rising. You said Wheel of Time is your favorite, probably your favorite series. You mentioned how reading, did you say The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings?
The Hobbit.
Really into Hobbit. So you talked about those. What are some other books through your life that kind of developed your love of reading, but also then you use for inspiration for your books and your writing?
My favorites, just Ender's Game was definitely a heavy inspiration. Harry Potter, I love those as a kid. And kind of my idea of setting my story within our world and connecting this whole thing to our world definitely spawned from Harry Potter. I always looked at that and I said, why is this series so good? And I think a big part of it was because it was rooted in our world at the same time. I think people really enjoy stories like that. I'm a big urban fantasy fan. What the heck are the Jim Butcher books? I haven't read one in forever, but those are some of my favorite series. I wouldn't say that necessarily plays into my story so much, but just one of my favorites from the past. But yeah, and like I said, Red Rising, Wheel of Time is probably my favorite series. That definitely Game of Thrones was.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah, just loved reading those, but that's very different than my own work.
Right. Yeah.
So, but basically the classics. I have a bunch of other ones that the Robin Hobb, the Farseer trilogy. I read that so long ago that I should probably do a reread of it because I probably won't remember a lot of it. I just remember that I absolutely loved it when I read it. So
no, I got to read that one still. I have it, but that's one I always wanted to. I know it says it'll wreck you if once you read them all, but
I remember it was a rough read. It's there's the good and the bad in it. It wrecks you at times and it lifts you back up from what I remember, and then it wrecks you again. So
right.
I think I read the main trilogy, the Royal Assassin, that whole trilogy, and then I read the next one, which was more so the stories were about the Fool, I think. It's been so long for me though. I really need to do a read through of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you love Red Rising, I do too. Are you caught all the way up currently?
I'm caught up. Yeah, I read Lightbringer. I want to say it's probably about 6 to 8 months ago now.
Nice. All right.
So,
do you like the first 3 books better or the second 3?
By far, the first 3 books better. I really didn't like the 4th book that much. And even Dark Age was it picked up steam as it went, but it still took me a while to get into Dark Age. I think I wasn't as grasped by the newer characters, but then Lightbringer brought it all back home, and that was so good. And I'm ready. I'm ready for Red Blood.
Me too, man. Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I liked 4 and 5, but I did love Lightbringer, and I loved it. It really recaptured everything from the first 3 books
for sure.
But I think, things had to get dark and it had to kind of break up the squad and all of that.
Yeah.
And then they just all get back together and it just has those vibes again, like the first 3. And so good.
No, it's
so good.
It really was. And listen, all series have that. I mean, I love Wheel of Time, but God, some of those books in the middle there are tough to get through. I mean, it's book 10 in that series. I did a reread of that full series. I want to say it took me like a year and a half, and it was probably a little bit before I published my book, and it was just tough to get through that. I think it was number 10 in that series. I almost put it down. So no series is perfect.
No. That's true. I was just going to ask you something about Wheel of Time, but went out of my head. Anyway,
that's what everyone always asks. The show.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to ask you that. It was something else about the books, but I can't remember. But the show. Have you watched the show?
I watched the show. It's.
Have you watched the whole show? Or
I caught up through the end of season 3, and I think I'll be done with it. It's just It's not my thing. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
enjoyed the latest season, and it was much better in the first 2 seasons, but it's just, I don't know, it just still lacks a certain depth for me. It just seems like, and some of the changes they make, I can't. I understand no adaptation is going to be perfect, but just some of the things they're doing, I have trouble finding the sense of why they did it. So, just isn't for me, I think.
Yeah. I feel like the people that love the books don't like the show, even though they say it's gotten better. I feel like the people that say it's gotten better for the most part are probably people that didn't read the books, maybe.
Yeah,
I
think the production was better in season 3. So I would agree with that. It seems like it's more so people who haven't read them that are liking them, but they're also starting to adapt what to me is like the best aspect. Book 4 is my favorite book of the entire series, and that was this season. So it's even them only covering half of the actual true material. It still came off good, but it's just not good enough for me.
Not good enough.
It just took too many crucial scenes and crucial arcs and elements of the story and just did away with them and changed them into their own thing. That to me, it's like nothing more than fan fiction of the actual books. So.
Right. Yeah. Senna says she's reading Golden Sun tomorrow.
That is my favorite Red Rising book. So it is
man.
phenomenal.
Senna, when you finish that book, send us a message. Let us know what you think.
That one is a good one.
Oh yeah, it's so good, so good.
Yeah, that's got to be that's definitely within my top 5, maybe my top 3 favorite books ever.
Me too. Oh, so good. I think that's all I got, and we're gonna wrap it up so I can get my kids to bed here. But I'll give you the floor if there's anything you want to say about the book coming out or anything else. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, The Dark Element is coming out May 20th. It is the 3rd book in my Power of the Stars series. If anyone sees this and is interested and hasn't read any of the series yet, they can also get the novella we spoke about earlier, A Princess of Eldir. You can get that free if you sign up for my newsletter on my website, and it's in all my link trees and stuff on my socials. And yeah, it's just some. It's kind of a 50-50 genre blend of sci-fi, fantasy, space opera goodness. So I think Ender's Game meets Star Wars is what a lot of people like to call at least book 1. So
I heard that.
If that's your thing, I hope you'll check it out.
Awesome, man. Very cool. All right, then I forgot to ask. So you were big into Star Wars then, probably at some point, right?
Yeah, for sure. Nice. I mean, I wasn't one of the ones who's obsessed with it, but I definitely enjoyed it.
But you enjoyed them,
yeah, for sure.
Okay, nice. All right. So everybody, thanks for being in the chat. You guys were fantastic. It was an awesome group. And thank you, Bryan, for coming on, dude. I had a blast. This hour plus flew by. It went
it did. It did. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Anytime, man. Every time you have a book come out, I would love to have you on, or just anytime you want to chat, like when we do our fantasy football league.
Absolutely.
We'll do a little kickoff and talk about it.
It'll be fun making we'll have to make the draft live. That'll probably be
that's an awesome idea, dude. Yeah, let's have everybody on there. That's a great idea. I love it. We're doing it.
For sure.
You don't even know what you got yourself into, man.
My wife is going to love that I have another fantasy football draft. She's going to be thrilled by it.
Another one. This is with book people, though, so it's part of your author business, so it's important. All right, awesome, man. Well, thanks again, and thanks to the chat. I will be back on Saturday at 12 p.m. I'm having Michael. Oh gosh, no, I didn't forget it, but I think it's Michelle. Somebody told me not to. Yeah. Somebody told me not to pronounce his last name. Yeah. I think they said don't say Michael. I think it was JC and Byrne if he's still here. He said, tell him I told you to pronounce it Michael. I'm like, that's not how it is. I'm like, that's why that was in my head. Joe's
a good dude. You'll have a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully I'll see a lot of you there. It's the Derby. Man, well then I know Senna's gonna be busy watching those horses.
I didn't even know it was the Derby. Wow,
I know.
That's how we get old like this, and that's just how out of touch we get.
I know. We don't know anything. We don't understand.
I remember 15 years ago when I used to go to the bar for it every single year.
Oh man, I know. I used to watch it every year just because it was so quick. All that buildup, and then it's over quick. But it was always a fun thing. So good. Thanks for the reminder, Senna. We appreciate it. All right. So I will see you guys on Saturday, and make sure you keep an eye out on Bryan's social media and his website. So you know where he's going to be. He's going to be on Mike Molman's Bald and Balding next week.
About 7 more coming up, I think.
Yeah, you got a lot.
On the 20th, if anyone's around, I'm doing a live launch party with some booktubers, some bookstagrammers, and some other authors. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that'll be on the Fanfi Addict YouTube channel.
Awesome. Oh, and I gotta. They're giving you a hard time here. Ryan says, "Was that before the internet when he went to the bar for the draft?"
For the derby, not the draft. It might as honestly, it might as well have been. It was a very different world than
that's true. Right now. Might as well have been, right?
I used to look at my phone probably for 15 minutes total a day back then, and it's very different now. So,
oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's very true. We got a computer in our pocket now. It's hard not to look at it a lot more. All right, so I will see you guys in the next one. And until I do, as I always say, devour your TBRs, be brave, be beautiful to one another, and be beastly. We'll see you guys.